Sensitivity is intelligence. With grace and skill, you have abundance. Welcome to the Psychic Hour. Host Kelly Brickle is a psychic medium healer, numerologist, and teacher. Her passions are learning about the soul and energy. Whether it's through spirit, emotion, or vibrational numbers, there's always a pathway of information waiting to help. Now, here is your host of the Psychic Hour, Kelly Brickle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Psychic Hour. On our Wednesday interview series, we have Shelley Sanders on as a guest, which will be excellent. And she's even open to taking some live on-air readings. So if you have any questions, you can pop them down. If you want to ask about a loved one, if you want to ask about a life question, we'll be taking them towards the end of the cast. And just welcome everybody to WLTKDB Let's Talk Radio. And gosh, it's a whirlwind of a summer. And I want to just always start with a topic. That's what I do. I start with a topic, we bring our lovely guest in, and then we start taking some questions towards the end of the show. And the topic of today is perspective. And hi, Tracy, welcome. Perspective is a funny thing, you know? It's really how the way we live our lives. We don't have the same perspective. If we all did, there'd be peace on earth, right? If we all did, we might even be robots. It's kind of like if anyone saw Star Trek, I didn't see a lot of episodes, but one that really stands out for me, or even a movie that personifies kind of this idea, was the Borg, right? Assimilation. And there was no conflict. Everyone had one mind, but it was one mind, and it was an absolute one mind. And free will really is a beautiful thing. And a lot of people talk about how free will makes humans human and gives them their superpower to be such. So when you start taking away free will and choice and things like that, you can really see how people naturally fight back. To be human is to have free will and to have choice, and to be an abundant human means that you're exercising that. And so everybody has a different perspective. And I could go so many different directions with this. I could go more philosophical. I could go more real world. I could go more experiential. if I'm even saying that word right. Just I could go more experience based, or like in the perspective. What kind of I think I was inspired to talk about was the perspective that people have around this work, and also just any job in general. How can I say that? I think that no one knows where you're at on your journey. Like, no one really does. And that is in a curiosity sense, a building sense, a starting point sense, and even in a mastery sense. You could be doing this work for 20, 30 years. And you're very, let's say, extroverted within your business. And this is not just for spirituality or psychic mediumship. This is for other businesses. And no one's going to know what is going on in your business behind closed doors. And you could argue that with basically anything, with family and friends. And so at the end of the day, like, don't feed into other people's perceptions, because other people's perceptions, unless they're smack dab flank at the side of you, they have no idea, I would say. The reason I'm talking about like spirituality and a spiritual business is, so I've been having my spiritual business for 10 years, so it gives me a decent perspective. There's people that have been doing it far longer than me. And it's really interesting, because when we look at certain people, we see them work, or people who are just observing, right? Or like maybe others who are friends or family, or even those wanting a reading. I think it's very hard to tell if someone's just starting out or someone's very experienced. Isn't that like a funny concept? It really is. I don't think people gauge it very well. And it's funny too as well because that then how do you then gauge talent in that spectrum too? And so a lot of times the best way is always word of mouth. It just is. If someone had a great experience, spread it to a friend, and you got something there. You have at least uh just a spark of something there. Every reading is different. Some people have a very strong connection to their reader. They have a reason they're there, or they just vibe with that person. So one reading is not all the same. One client really isn't all the same, because the reason readers are able to do such a great job is because one, spirit always, right? And they just surrender. And two, there's sometimes a connection or familiarity with the energy, or there's a welcomeness with the energy. And that's the biggest thing when a client is open, not sharing their life. That's not that. It's just they're open and interested and curious, and they're happy to be there. They're happy to hear the insights. It really, what happens is it lets open this flow that hasn't has to be chipped away or cultivated or additionally worked at. And it can create a very strong, multifaceted reading. It really can. And some personalities work better with others. And same with the spirit world. You will be able to connect to some personalities easier than others. And it's not because, you know, uh, let's say it's not possible. It's not because, let's say, you like someone versus another. It's just because the energy is just easier to work with, and it's based on like more simple principles. So there's all these perceptions that people have of, readers, or what makes a good reader, or even from the outside, people who are not even involved in this work. They're like, oh wow, you're just starting out, or wow, like you're really, really starting to build your business. And I don't think people understand all the inner workings. I just don't. And it's so different from one person to the other. Like, I've known people who've been doing this for years part time, and they are just amazing at what they do. And then I know other people who have been doing this full time. And it's, again, two different situations, two different success stories. And it's not dependent on if someone's full time or part time. It's not dependent if someone um, I guess is more in the media versus not as much with public activity. It's so, and I feel like that just goes back to so many other things, like your mom, your family, your friends, your grandparents. They might not understand what you're doing. They can't see how hard you're working, or they can't see the struggle, or they can't see all your successes. You might tell them something that's extraordinary, and they're like, "Okay, good job. Good job. That's great. Like, wow, you should be proud of yourself." And obviously they don't know the context. And so it's like we can't base our successes, we can't base who we want to be based on anyone else's opinion, because sometimes when you like crack, below the surface of, yeah, actually I want to know about your opinion and why you said that to me last year, last week, and you understand where they're coming from. A lot of people don't know unless they're really, really, really interested. They're right by your side 24/7 practically. They couldn't possibly know, right? Um, and it's funny. So it's based on how you present yourself too. This is the last thing I'm going to say. I know people who are very, they like to build themselves up, and that's actually good for a lot of reasons. Okay, you want people to be in your corner, right? Being humble is good, but I'm sure that there's definitely certain strategic understandings when you see someone talk about, I guess, their entity or their identity or their business or even their interests. And it does go in your favor to actually build yourself up. And I see a lot of people that do that. And then I kind of like look for more details and I go, wow, there's certain things missing here, but since they build themselves up so much, people are very receptive and people are very warm to them. So, like, hey, look at that advantage there. And then I've seen other people who are very self-deprecating, um, and they could be very talented, okay, and they're struggling or they're very forthcoming with their struggles, and it's very honest, it's very raw, but it's almost like people don't understand where they're at all, right? People just kind of like understand what you present, kind of the surface or the construct that you present, unless they're looking beneath the surface. So I know people who, let's say, have been very forthcoming with their struggles, but they're like crazy successful, and then people are shocked because of that. So again, it don't base your life on other people's perspectives, others' thoughts, other people's you have to do it. And within spiritual work, it's all about returning to the self, building the self, strengthening the self. And if you're looking for a support system, you have to go to spirit. If you're looking for a support system, it has to be supporting yourself, supporting your will, your emotions, supporting learning about what it's going to take. And some people call it lonely, and it's not actually meant to be lonely. It's actually meant to be very connective and very nourishing. And but at the end of the day, it's just like we know we know ourselves best, and you can have a guide, you can have a teacher, because maybe the way that we were raised, maybe that wasn't the indication that we got. It really wasn't. I mean, even sometimes within the last thing I'm gonna say, and then we're gonna go to break because this topic really just like explodes so many thoughts for me. It really does about how we have to be so strong in who we are because we're the only one that can represent ourselves. And just go for it. Just go for it. Um, you can find yourself in a place where people are really, really warm and receptive to you. And it's not based on anything that you are, it's just based on the perception of what you are. So, really dig deep, find what you want to do, find who you want to be, find what you want to start, and hold true and have a foundation in it. And I promise you, you'll be far happier because none of people's thoughts really matter because they don't understand the root of it. They understand part of it. And if you understand part of it, oof, sorry. That's not a perspective worth building your life around. All right. So, love and light. Hello, Pamela. Hello, Joey. Hello, Jessica. Hello, Tina. Um, hello. Oh, I think I said Janice, but I'm going to make sure I said Janice. Hello, Janice again. And we'll see you in a moment. We're going to bring in Shelley. We're going to learn about her life. And she'll be taking questions, whether you want to connect to a loved one or you have a life question. So throw down your questions and we'll get to them. We're going to be talking to her first and learning about her first. So we'll be back in a few. See you then. Hello, welcome back. And I want to bring in Shelley and give her a warm welcome.
Hey, Kelly, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Shelley?
Good, thanks so much.
I want to give you a warm introduction as well and let everyone know who you are. So, Shelley Sanders is a psychic medium, mentor, teacher, and business intuitive. Shelley could see, hear, and speak to spirit at a young age and is honored to serve spirit today. Using her gifts to deliver messages to the other side, she teaches in person, online classes, and is an expert in spirit communication. Welcome. Hey.
Thanks
I'm
so
so happy to have you on today. You're really a wealth of knowledge, and you've been having such heart and passion for this work for many years. Can you talk about when it started for you?
Yeah, actually, it started for me when I was 4 years old, but I didn't know that that was actually the beginning of it. So for me, at that age, I was able to see loved ones from the other side. And at that time, they were solid and in color. So I would actually get them confused with loved ones that were actually here that were human. And
Wow.
because I come from a Baptist background, it scared my family. So my grandfather went to my parents and said, if she doesn't stop talking to ghosts, that's what he called it back then, I can't visit you guys anymore. So, because my parents were really young, they were like 24 and 26, they had to immediately shut it down because they couldn't afford to be away from the family.
Wow. Okay. So you had family actually saying out loud, this is going on. We can't have this. You got to raise her different.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, my grandmother understood what was happening because the ladies on her side could actually see spirit. So whenever I would visit her, she would allow me to do it, but we just had to keep it away from the rest of the family. But once my mother found out what was going on, she said, "If you don't stop, you can't visit your grandmother anymore." So at that
Wow.
point, I had to make a choice, and I chose my grandmother over spirit.
So, how old were you when that ultimatum was presented?
I was 6 years old when I
Oh my
was presented.
gosh.
Yeah. So talking about your first wound, that was it. Yeah,
Wow, that's yeah, that's pretty devastating to have that choice when you know it's just something that's a part of you.
right. Well, the thing was is that I got really confused because spirit would continue to communicate with me, and what I had to do was I had two cousins that were very close in age to me, so I would actually mimic what they were doing in order to appear to be normal. Then that way the it would keep the attention off of me from the adults, and they just pretty much left me alone.
So, if I may ask, since you had to kind of learn to assimilate, we're kind of talking about that before,
Right?
and perspective and what is genuine to us versus what other people tell us we should be, right? Isn't that interesting? What did you then do to assimilate?
Well, I really stayed quiet. So whenever I got around the adults, I wasn't myself. I was quiet. I would make sure to always be in the shadows. So I ended up being labeled as a shy child, although I was not, but it was just a way of me protecting myself. And then I felt safe around my cousins because they were my age and they weren't judging me.
And so, did then the ability to see or hear, did that go away or was that just in the background?
Well, actually, it did go away because I did have a woman on the other side. She would talk to me a lot. And it was, we were at my grandmother's house. I was sitting on the floor playing with my toys, and she kept saying my name. And I kept telling her, I can't talk to you right now. I'll get in trouble. And what happened was all the adults, they stopped and they looked at me, and my mother was like, "Shelley, who are you talking to?" And I'm like, "No one." She's like, "You better not be talking to that lady again." So I physically had to turn my back on her in order to get her to stop talking to me because my grandmother was really concerned and she didn't, want my mother to stop that connection. So at that point, that's when spirit went away, and they pretty much stayed away until I turned 14.
So at 14, then I'm just going through your whole life. At 14, what then happened to kind of blow that lid off?
Well, at 14, they just kind of they appeared again. So I was so excited. So by this time, I'm a rebel because at 4 you can tell me what to do, but at 14, spirits back, and you can't make me stop. So I ran to my parents and I said, "The spirits are back. The spirits are back." And my mother, she just put her hand on her head and she said, "Oh no, not this again." So I realized that they weren't ready, and then I closed the door on spirit. And then they stayed away until I turned 40.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so we're at 14 now. We're jumping to 40. You're giving me the ages, so I have to keep going. At 40. What went down at 40?
Oh, well, at 40, by this time, I've gotten, when we talk about assimilation, I've now gotten used to, because at 4, it was really natural for spirit to pop in. They would just appear, have a conversation, and when they were done, they would disappear. It was no big deal. Because my mother had to really drill that into me that no one just appears and disappears. You got to get in your car, you got to drive to their house, you got to ring the doorbell, and they let you in. So at 40, when spirit appeared, it scared me because I wasn't expecting that. It was like a Saturday morning. I was doing my chores. I was cleaning out the bathtub, and I noticed the movement from the corner of my eye. And when I turned and looked, there was a man in my room, and he was pacing back and forth. So in my mind, I panicked like, oh my gosh, how did this man get in the house? And how do I get past him down the stairs and out the door? So I just screamed. And then I heard clairaudiently, he's not human, it's spirit. So I was like, okay. So years back, I no longer know how to communicate because what was natural is now unnatural. So I lost all of that. So I had to go through classes to learn how to communicate all over again.
Wow. I like kind of how you're talking about your mom was like no one disappears and reappears. You have to go to their house and ring the doorbell. It's funny because that philosophy still sticks whether you're an intuitive or not. It's just like whether we're paying attention, no one's disappearing or reappearing. They're just there. And when you're ready to invite them to the party, yeah, you kind of knock on the door and go, "What's up?"
Right, right.
So, do you think a part of you was ready at 40 or was a part of you just shocked
I
just
was
into
I was shocked. I was not ready. I was used to my regular basic life of going to work, visiting family, having fun, hanging out with friends. I forgot all about spirit. Completely forgot. So when they did appear at 40, there was no more closing the door. It's like, okay, now it's time to work with us. So they weren't leaving. So that's when everything started for me. And that's when I started my training in psychic and then in mediumship.
and looking back kind of how you lived your life, do you kind of go, I actually did utilize intuition, but I didn't know I was?
Absolutely. I really learned very young how to read a room. And I think I did it more for safety reasons, just to kind of figure out or feel out the room. Also became a very young mediator as a child. Like when the adults didn't get along and they would argue, I would go to them separately. Oh, she didn't really mean this. What she meant to say was this. And then it would kind of diffuse the situation. Because one, it was just so sensitive. I just didn't like the arguing around me. And at one point, my dad said, stop trying to fix everyone or everything. Like I was just trying to be helpful. So I would like feel into what they really meant and then would use the words to help soothe the situation.
And as you got older, what were some instances of using intuition to protect yourself or, I guess, to navigate more beyond family?
Yeah, so as I got older, I would find that I would use it in at my corporate job a lot. So I would kind of sense out what was happening within meetings. I would find myself helping to bridge a gap. And I would actually have people tell me, I wouldn't attend this meeting if it wasn't for you. It's because intuitively I was feeling what they needed or what they needed to hear at that time in order to have everything smoothed out. Because if you've ever worked in corporate, it's all about egos, it's all about me first, being dominating and not really budging. So there's not a lot of collaboration there. Although there's talk of it, it's not really a collaborative place. And so I would get in and intuitively to try to smooth things out.
And when you right now in your life, when you're a professional psychic medium and you've gone through trainings and you go, what what really surprised you that it wasn't that different? I say it in a way because I think like a lot of people who are training or developing their skills or they're learning about spirit, right? They're asking questions like what's spirit like, or what should this feel like? What should I be looking for? And for you, you know, actually blocking out all that and then returning back to it. When you return back to it, you're like, wow, it actually isn't that different.
Not at all. You know what? I think I was getting it all along. I just didn't realize. Sometimes what it is a conversation that happens in your head, or just that feeling that maybe something is off, and just paying attention to it. So
Yeah.
sometimes it just comes in so whisper soft that if you don't pay attention to it, that you can miss it. And so I did find that it was helping me throughout the years. I just didn't have a label for it.
Beautiful. I like that a lot. Yeah. That label just isn't there. We haven't claimed it for what it is. And what are some of the most subtle things when you work with energy where you go, "Oh, whoa, okay, that was something." What are some things that really kind of blow your mind with how subtle it is?
Sometimes I just might get the feeling like a urge might come over me just to sit down and write, and then before I know it, I'm writing out an email, or I'm writing out content, or I'm writing down something that actually will help someone later on as I'm in a conversation. Because I'm like, oh, Spirit gave me this message, and I'm thinking, oh, this is probably the reason why I got that information. So sometimes it's as simple as writing. Sometimes it's as simple as, just lay down and relax, because it's just time to get some rest. It could be that, or it could be where I'm walking my dog Nellie, and then I might just get a download of information, and then I'm like, okay, hold that information, I don't want to forget it. So it just comes in. Sometimes it's different waves, and it's never the same. So you can't really pinpoint it and say that it always comes in this way. It's just a matter of being in the moment of what I find, and the more that I'm in the moment, not thinking about the past or thinking about the future, it's when I get all of the information that I need, because I'm present, and then I can actually receive it.
Beautiful. With you being a business intuitive, what do you share and help people discover within themselves in that realm, if I may ask?
Yeah, so it's really about trusting their own gut instinct, because whenever you can trust the information that you receive, I find that it also helps you in business. So it helps you to know if you're going to do a current business deal, like, is this person a good fit? How does it feel? Because oftentimes we might want to work with someone, and our gut is telling them that they're not the right person, but maybe because we want to do a favor for someone, or we don't want to disappoint them, we go against the grain of what we're being told. And then it ends up falling apart. And then you go, I should have listened to myself. If I just listened to myself, I wouldn't have lost this amount of money, or I wouldn't have lost this time, because I would have done what was best for me and my highest self.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you have people come to you wanting to know about the market ever, or is it more corporate, or is it more when they build their own businesses?
Yeah, it's more when they're building their own business, and a lot of it is the mindset, is getting out of their own way, because their intuition is telling them start, and then their mind is telling them all the reasons that they can't. And they may also have some family members that's also in their ears saying, you can't make any money at this. Now's not the time to try something new. You need to stay, where you currently are. Why would you invest this money in this program or this training when you need to take care of something else? So, if we think about spirit, you think about your spirit team, they really have that bigger map of where you're trying to go, and they can see much further ahead than we can. And what they do is they leave these breadcrumbs, which are opportunities. But if we don't take them, then we can't get to our goal. And so sometimes your family member, they don't know what's in your heart or what spirit's planted there. So they may try to talk you out of it when spirit is giving you the green light, because it's now time.
Absolutely. That kind of makes me curious. So you said at 40, Spirit was like, we're back. And what came up, whether it's from family or friends or circumstance, where life was like, maybe you shouldn't be doing this after all. Maybe you shouldn't be listening to that advice, or maybe this is not such a good idea. What was going
Mm.
on?
Well, the first question is this a cult? Is it, what is this? What do you mean? Like this isn't normal. I come from a family that's very corporate. They're proud about corporate, and you're successful if you work in corporate. So there's no talk about spirit. It's like there's something wrong. So what I had to do was I really just had to stick to, like, I love you guys, but this is something that I have to do. Now, I didn't leave my job right then and there. I had my job while I developed myself. And then about 6 to 9 months, they started to like, okay, we see that this is okay. Now I still do have some family members that might give me a side eye, like, what? I don't know about this. So what we have a deal in the family is that like when I'm around family, we talk about family things. I don't bring it up unless somebody else brings it up. And then I have a good group of friends where I'll talk the spiritual stuff about. However, there are some family members that will pull me to the side and say, you know what, I really need to know about this. Please don't tell anyone else in the family. And then, then I'll honor that, and and I'll hold that space. So I'm the one that kind of stands out, but it's fine because it's what feeds my soul and what makes me happy.
Yeah.
So helps other people who are stepping into this. Because if you think about it, like when you're at work, the last thing that you want is for your coworkers or your boss to know that you're a psychic, especially if they don't believe in this. Because I did work with a boss that thought that all psychics were frauds. And so I thought, ooh, can't let him know about this because then I'll lose my credibility, right? So sometimes we have to keep them separate when people aren't ready for it. So I just respect that.
Yeah, I think there's certain constrictions where you kind of go, okay, I'm gonna do more damage if I kind of just shout it from the rooftops. I'm
Yeah.
gonna make a just I'm gonna surrender just to the circumstance that not everyone has to know. It's fine when that I know. It's fine that in other situations, but it's just gonna cause more damage than help
Exactly.
certain places. Gotta, yeah, strategic decisions. Um, I mean, so your family probably saw how much happy you were doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. They do. Still, they really don't talk about it. Because I also have a podcast show. I have a couple of family members that might listen to it, but for the majority, they really don't, and I don't push it on them. So
Yeah.
the important thing is, if you're happy working with spirit, talk to other people who you can share about openly with. But if you have people that are closed off, you don't want to push them. You don't want to force it, because I wouldn't want anyone forcing their values, their thoughts, or their beliefs on me. So I tend to respect that.
It's really true. And I think that I've heard otherwise, but I think for the majority, I can share that as well, just to let people to really go their own way, because like the majority of my friends and family have no interest in this. You know? They
Mhm.
really don't. And the ones that are even kind, it's not like they're like, "Let's tune in and see like, oh, this is huge," right? It is huge because it's important to us. It is huge because we're helping people and it's in our hearts. That's why it's huge. But they have their own interests. They have their own path,
Right.
And um I just want to encourage people how normal that is. I think a lot of people are like, no one understands, and honestly, it's okay because they're meant to do something totally different.
Right, exactly. Same thing I found with dating, because and I guess I can say that I've dated the wrong people because when I did open up and share, I had one guy tell me, "I wish you didn't tell me that." Like he didn't want to know at all. The other thing is they think that you're a mind reader and that you're reading their mind. So it's like, no. Like I don't want to know what's in your mind and I'm not reading your mind because there's probably way too much in there anyway. So, yeah.
No, yeah, yeah. I think that's really fascinating. Yeah, the whole dating side of it. I so have you ever had someone who has been enthusiastic for it?
Nope, not no. They've been
Okay.
pretty closed off. Well, the thing is that some people, they just don't wanna know what's coming up, and so I respect that. Same thing with family, it's like, "Don't tell me anything," because they don't wanna feel like that you're changing the course of their life if you give them some information, so I respect that, so I only give information if asked.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, that I feel like I could just have you on for an hour and be like, "Let's hear some dating stories." Let's like have a panel of people. This is what you will come up. That would be fascinating, wouldn't it be? There's some fun ones. Yeah, I can think
Yeah.
of some too. There's some fun occurrences I've had as well where it's just like, all right, well, if I have the green light on this, let's get real deep. But if I may ask too, with your friends, excuse me, your family being receptive now, do they think to themselves, okay, well, Shelley was like this when she was younger, so now this makes sense, or was it just still so secret within the family?
Well, my cousins were really young. They were really young when this happened. So, like, I was 4, my other cousin was 6, and my younger cousin was like 2. So they were really too young to really remember. But they're definitely open to it, and they will talk about it occasionally. Other family members also didn't remember because, as I was a teenager, I wasn't talking about it because I wasn't allowed to. So for some people that give me that side eye, like, I don't know, it's they were the ones who never really knew about it. Or they would say, well, why didn't you say anything earlier? And I'm thinking, well, it wasn't really safe to say anything about it earlier because, no one was open to it at that time. And so it was just a matter of keeping peace. I think I became a people pleaser because I wasn't accepted for who I truly was. So this journey at 40 really got me to discovering, like, who is Shelley really? Like, who am I now that I can connect with spirit? Because I didn't have that when I was like 4 or 6. So like most people got to grow up and they kind of got to figure out who they were. That part was locked down for me. So I spend like a good majority of the time trying to figure out, who am I, doing this psychic and this mediumship? Like, is it safe? And for a long time, my throat chakra was really closed. Like, I wasn't able to talk about spirit at all. And my body was also trying to protect me when I started to develop. So whenever I would start talking about spirit, it's like the acid from my stomach would come up to the base of my throat, and then my sinuses would drain to the base of my throat. And whenever I would
Wow.
try to speak, it was like it was
Wow.
difficult to get the words out. So I had to start doing healing and letting my body know, look, it's safe to talk about spirit. We're okay. And then the more healing work I did around it, then my throat chakra began to open, and then I could start talking about spirit. But I couldn't even talk about it at first.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's fascinating. Sometimes we really just, we there's so much around the obstacle of the next step.
Yeah,
For some people, maybe they just have to just be brave, and then you had to literally systematically heal your body as you were being brave
right,
and feeling all of that.
right.
So I can only imagine. Uh, and if I may ask, because we will be going and taking some questions and readings in a moment here, um, you know, it's very much a thing that abilities change over time, or like certain things become stronger, certain things fall away. Not that they're lost, it's just this, spirit world shows us more emphasis on certain things, and we develop our gifts in different ways than we have before. What has changed with you with your seeing and hearing and feeling from when you were a kid to now? Are some things very much the same, or are things quite different?
Oh my goodness, it was so strong when I was a kid. Like, I could, because then I could see in color. So for me, now I see spirit more kind of grayed out. Occasionally, that might see them in color, like, if I'm really tired or get really relaxed, it might slip into color, and then I think that I'm talking to someone that's human, like, physical here, and then they're not, so it's like, "Oh, oops." So that's kinda changed for me, and then also, I would just say the confidence, because when I was a kid, it was so natural. Now it's like I'll turn it off just in order to get some rest, and then, like, when I'm ready to work with spirit, then I'll kinda turn it on, but it doesn't feel as natural as it did when I was a kid. I would have to say that would be the biggest difference.
Yeah. Um, is there anything that surfaced to that you were like, "Wow, I can do this now. This was never me as a kid."
I would say, really, going deeper with the conversation. So as I went through training, I was able to start to ask spirit more questions and to go a lot deeper. So as a kid, I would just receive information, but not really go back and forth a lot. So now consciously, I can have a deeper meaning conversation with spirit, like really start to ask questions, get into the details, like even know what the relationship is. When I was a kid, it was like someone appeared, they appeared, but I was able to now I'm able to go a lot further than I was as a child.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, wow. What a journey of just relentless, um, step by step. You trust, like, you trusted. It sounds like you're very trusting with spirit. That's why you had your ability so strong. But then since you were so trusting, you were trusting other people's direction around you. But when it finally was able to come full circle, your relationship is still very strong because you have that open heart.
Yeah, and I found out that spirit knows more and what's best for me because I pre-worked everything out with them ahead of even coming here. So I know that people around me are giving me advice based on their fear. And what I'm getting from spirit is coming in from love. Like this is what you asked for. Do you still want it? We're here to help you. We're here to give it to you step by step. And so of course I'll go with spirit because there's no filter where they're limiting. So the people around me, they have a lot of limitations. And so with spirit, it's wide open. So that's why I trust them so much.
Is it love or is it fear? That's a really important question to ask with everything that we do, or who comes across us as well. Um, I would like to, if you are vibing to take some questions.
Yeah, of course.
All
Let's do
right.
it.
Let's see what we got here. We have a lot to choose from. And if you are, so I'll pull some, but if you're liking a particular question or if you feel really drawn to it in the comments, just let me know too, and we'll make sure we take that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see here. Pamela. Okay, so Janice is asking about a relationship question. She likes somebody, and she's wondering about their feelings towards her. And she's just wondering about the energy of that situation.
Well, immediately I'm feeling is that feels more like a friendship, like this person doesn't know, that she's interested, and so I just wanna know, like, if that's true because I feel like there's everything the conversation has all been subtle, and it's like, "Why aren't you catching on to my flirts?" Because I just feel like it needs to be more direct. I feel like this person needs more directness when it comes to a conversation so that they actually know that you're interested.
You're correct. As I'm reading, she talked about how he's my brother's best friend, and I'm starting to have feelings towards him. There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah.
So there's that element of not knowing, absolutely, and that's what's creating the overthinking,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
And really, it's just to be more forthcoming with just appreciation with him as a person. So it's like, I know it sounds funny, but sometimes like it's okay to smile. You don't have to like go. every 5 seconds, right? But it's okay to just show like a little bit more appreciation, like, hey, I think you're a cool person, and see what the vibe is from that.
Mhm.
Because if he's a good person, he would welcome just good vibes. And then you can start to bridge the gap from friend to maybe talking more, because there is such good energy around how you're with one another.
Right. And then also with the brother, there might be some concern with the brother that he may not take it well, that you're taking away his friend, and he might not want to be in the middle of it. So if you and the brother's friend, if you two decide to get together, then of course you want to be respectful and just let the brother know that that relationship is not going to change. Then that way you can get his blessing as well.
Absolutely. I think, yeah, that's a very important consideration. And at the end of the day, if everyone just has, I guess, a nice time around each other, even if it starts with a simple smile or conversation, then it makes it very hard to, I guess, be justified of, I don't like this, right? You want to date my friend? You like my friend? Oh, but we talk with each other. He's nice. We have things in common. I don't like it, but I guess okay. Like, just like feelings can, anything that you're worried about can fall away if there is an actually good, positive foundation, and that
Right.
becomes stronger than the other possibilities of maybe the awkwardness, or someone else not liking it.
Yeah, yeah, but I do one more thing, I do feel that there's interest there, he's just being respectful. So, he's not going to approach you first, you're gonna need to let him know.
I think, yeah, I think she's gonna have to initiate things more, and mhm. That's the vibe I'm getting. That's the vibe I'm getting. Okay. So Jessica asks, I would love to know if you see me and my husband owning a big land and building our home in the future, please.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, I do. Um, yeah, I do, I see, like, a lot of farmland, actually, I see that, so, and I also see that other family members are gonna wanna come there as well, so the word that I'm definitely hearing is homestead, so I definitely get that feeling for you.
I keep seeing, like, I don't know if it's a big plot of land, an extra big backyard. But it's interesting because I'm a little confused, because it seems so big it shouldn't have a fence, but then I'm aware of a fence. So there could be kind of like, sometimes when I see things like overlapped on each other, it's spirit trying to say like, hey, it's not just one. There's
Mhm.
elements of both involved. And so it makes me think, on one hand, that it will be a bigger set of land, but I go, oh, can she build additionally on that land? So it's almost like there's a property there, but then you're building additional property um, to expand, and have like more options. So there's something about that. I almost think like something is. It's almost like there's something already built on this big land, or there's something already built in the area. There's an element of that when you finally find your place, and then it's just a matter of what to do with that, and what to go beyond with that. That's kind of what I'm feeling. Okay, cool. So let's see. The next one is Pamela. At my job, clients get insights from me, but that's not what I'm paid for. Yet I get amazing gifts from them. One gifted my daughter $10,000 for her wedding. I believe Spirit takes care of us in unusual ways. Clients get insights from me, but that's not. So then, okay, let's. Ooh, I just clicked something. There we go. Um, I guess here I'm trying to get the question that at my job could get insights from me, but that's not what I'm paid for yet. I get amazing gifts from them. So, okay, I guess she's talking about how Spirit looks after her.
Yeah,
Okay,
sounds like it.
let's see. Huh. Okay, she later asks, I think she wants to ask more about twin flames And where is that? She's asking a relationship question. So I guess she made a comment about how spirit's looking after her, and then she's
Oh,
wondering, okay, forgive me, I just had to think about that one. Um,
awesome.
um,
That's great.
she wants to know more about twin flames and relationships, and if you can tune into that, there you go.
So the first thing I get is kind of like some pressure towards the front of my head, and usually when that happens, it's like you're in your head and you're guarded, and it's like you want it to happen a certain way. I almost feel like a fairy tale, like it has to happen a particular way, or you have to meet this person a particular way. Um, like less, the word that I want to say is that more spontaneous and more in the moment. That's not really happening because it feels like everything is, the word that I'm getting is guarded, like you're trying to get these steps into place. And I'm getting that the more that you let go of that and you let your guard down, then it's easier for the person to come in. So I'm getting not to overthink it and that it will happen naturally.
Sure. I'm the thing that I'm tuning into as well is I don't know if you have a checklist or you just have certain things that when you see it, you go, I like that. That that's exactly what I'm looking for. So see like there's a checklist going when you see a certain person and you go, I think this is it. I think this is it. And spirit, not only do they point us to where they need to go, but they're known for surprising us. So there has to be elements of surprise where you're just like, wow, okay, I didn't expect it. And it kind of just like blows open your expectations. And so, what I really think the next thing in play is you kind of have to surrender those expectations and then put yourself forward with an open heart. And then you'll see who a person really is. And after you see who a person really is, when you're not playing it safe, then you can proceed with check the energy allowed me to do that. And I'm still liking what's going on. Check, let's proceed. So you've seen things that you like, so it's time to not play it safe. And then Spirit's going to show you what you really need
Yeah.
and if it's really a good fit.
Yeah. Well said.
So getting out of that comfort zone and shaking it up. All right. Tina. All right. Hi, Shelley. She says, any insight for me? I've had 3 significant losses within 12 weeks. Felt like the rug pulled out from under me, wondering where spirit is taking me. My aunt was a daily part of my spiritual work.
Mm. Well, first, I want to say I'm so sorry for your loss. That is really big to have 3 significant losses. So my heart goes out to you on that. The first thing that I really hear is that spirit definitely, like, they have your back. They're guiding you for you to trust the process. I feel like they're having you to go within because for you, I feel like you're developing and that your abilities are going to shine even brighter and that you're able to help more people with grief in their own grieving process. I feel like you're going to be writing down your journey and this information. I don't know if it's going to be a workbook or some type of pamphlet or a journal, but I feel like that you're going to be able to speak to groups about it and you're going to be able to help them from your own stories of how you've were able to navigate through grief. And I feel like this is like the foundational piece for the writings that you're going to be doing and the works that you're going to be doing with it.
I'm feeling like I'm sorry for your loss, Tina. I feel like those who you've lost are going to help your focus and help your experience with the spirit world. I do think it's a time of expansion in your business. And whether it's, the end of this year or going forth into next year, I really see your business like further kind of the reason I'm saying the way that I'm saying it, like I see it like exploding, but it's almost like you take a different turn. So the way that it explodes, you go, oh my gosh, like I kind of get how I want to pull everything together and I'm taking this path. So it's going to be like a time of growth where you're going to be pivoting. So in certain places it's not going to feel like it's exploding, but your energy is exploding, because as long as you kind of lean into that, I just feel like things get much easier, they make sense. You start really stepping into your own, and the spirit world is nudging you to go, okay, we're going to have you look over here, and you have all these people willing to help you to feel that and be there, ready to talk to you. That's what I'm getting. But business is very strong with Tina, that business energy. So I
Yeah.
really think it all fits together, like spiritual business, spirit, talking to
Yeah.
spirit, guiding others. Mhm.
I can't see her comments, but did she type in there that if she's working on something or writing anything or?
Tina, if you are still with us, drop in some comments. I haven't seen anything just yet, but she was in here just a moment ago, so maybe she's typing. But Tina, if you write, oh, here we go. She says, "Thank you both. Yes, I am writing."
Okay, good. So then that's a nice confirmation because I feel like maybe you've been doubting it or second guessing it. And I just wanted to come back to that because Spirit was giving me a nudge to mention it. So I just wanted to give you a confirmation. Okay.
A lot of go like I wonderful job with connecting with the writing, a lot of going within energy. That's what I'm feeling, so that's why she's going to explode forward with that. So beautiful. Thank you, Tina. If you want to drop anything else down, you're welcome to do so. um is there any question that you're particularly drawn to, Shelley? If not, I'll just keep going where I'm going. I invite you always to
From my side, I can't see the question, so I trust you to keep going.
Cool. Do you at the top there's the private and then the comments. Do you see that?
Let's see.
And then click the
Yeah,
comments.
there we go.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So if something jumps out, you let me know. All right.
Okay.
Holly asks, do you want to take one?
Oh, I was going to say that Pamela Lynn asked if I hear spirit like a person, like a human talking.
Yeah, go for it.
So in my head, I do hear words. So if you think, Pamela, about when you read silently and you hear the words in your head, that's how I hear spirit when they're speaking to me clairaudiently. I hear the words in my head, or they may play a song that I hear in my head, and then I'm able to give that to my client and share the information.
Awesome. We have another question from Jessica. She says, um, do you see me helping people spiritually, doing mediumship or psychically? Anything with owning my own business?
Well, I feel like that you're already doing it. Like I feel like you already get information for people and you share it with them. So I feel like that already comes through psychically. It's just I'm feeling like it's about the development and like separating out the two. I feel like they kind of bleed into each other. So if you're like talking to someone psychically, I feel like that maybe a loved one might pop in and you might have a sense of a grandmother or aunt or someone coming through. So it's just a matter of keeping them separate so that you know when you're working psychically and when you're working on the mediumistic side of it. But I feel like that's already there for you.
I feel like so when you asked that question, Jessica, I was like, wait a second, you have a lot on your plate right now. Hold up. I feel like, yeah, she's naturally just doing that with other people. Like if someone's going through something, she has a word of like wisdom or advice, or she'll kind of like, it's almost like she's a like Superman. She'll like come and swoop in and, and like I feel like Jesse would just kind of go, what's the right thing to do? And if I'm getting something, how can I help somebody? And
Mhm.
so with Shelley, I was liking what she was vibing. She was talking about, okay, now it's a matter of let's take the next step and get into some more training so you know what to do more with it. And so I think that's the next step. And so it's going to make that busyness fall away if you choose to go that direction. And you absolutely could have those things. It's just a matter of how much do you want to spend your time with this? And if you want to spend a lot of time with this, then my girl, my gosh, go get a business. Let's do it. She says, yes, I'm already helping people, just don't know how to use it better, like strongly. Okay, yeah, it's time. It's time to then get into some training. And anytime I've been at training, and Shelley, please let me know how you feel on it. It always shows me, oh, this is what I have to be working on, or whoa, I'm able to do this. It shakes you up, so then you can answer that. How do I use it more strongly, or where do I have to go next?
Yeah, absolutely. And then you learn how to work with your own energy, and you learn how to hold the link even longer. So yeah, training is going to be really good for you just to get that basic foundational piece and then how to build. And so just be patient with it. You're not going to learn it all in one go. You'll keep learning as you grow. And then eventually, if you do want to be in front of people, then that would be the next step of either you're working with them one to one or working with them in a small group. You'll start to build up that confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. And like with training too, whether it's with a teacher or in groups, it puts you into situations where you're uncomfortable, but you're forced to kind of see what happens if you push past your comfort zone. And
Yeah,
then you can continue to do that with your normal life. Like, wow, this isn't easy, but if I really like this, then I gotta push past my comfort zone to go to the next step. And so I highly recommend it for all the things we talked about. Holly asks,
exactly.
oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I said
Yes.
exactly. Yeah, I agree with you.
Holly asks, what messages would spirit like to give me?
You know what? The first thing that I get, there's a couple of feelings that I get. So, Holly, the first thing is I want to go to my throat and I also want to go to my chest. I feel like there's words that you want to say, but you're not really able to really speak your truth. I feel like that maybe there's a little people pleasing happening, and that you're very bright, that you're much brighter than you're letting on. And I feel like you kind of dim your light a little bit just so that you don't intimidate others or you don't make other people uncomfortable. And then I also feel like maybe the heart is just slightly guarded, just trying to protect yourself. Because I feel like you've been hurt before. So, Spirit is saying it's okay to really open up. I'm hearing that the gates are open for you, that you can step out and be your true self, and that the timing is right for you.
So, Holly, as I connect to your energy, I think like it's kind of I feel like you get a lot of support from others. And so there's kind of like this feeling of um being apprehensive to go within because it's uncomfortable a little bit. And so whether you're having guidance or you're having something facilitated, it's kind of like I actually think you have been feeling and sensing things, but you're like, how do I get more? And really it's just about being quiet and sensing and feeling and turning off all the distractions off. Because I think if you were just to sit in a room and just feel and invite your loved ones to come to you, I think you would very quickly hear a word or feel something or have an experience. And I just want to invite you to do that. That's what I'm getting. So it's like a little it's quite different, but that's what I'm getting. Okay. So I'm encouraging Holly to actually not only get a spirit message here from Shelley, but also to turn off the lights, turn on a candle, and just say a prayer and think of a loved one. And I actually think something beautiful would happen, just like a memory or a word would come to you. Okay.
And she's
Right.
saying that she's seen a lot of fives. So we know five in numerology is all about change, right?
Yeah. 5 is all about things are ready to pick up and they're going to go faster. So things are changing, but also, you know, what you expected, let's say last month, might be entirely flipped this month. And the way that it happens, you're like, okay, and now I'm here. Okay. So it's very good energy to have things happen or for spontaneity or surprise. So, yeah, I actually goes back to the energy is ready to show you something completely different. Okay. And it's very positive. For real. Um, there's a question I had up top. Where was it? There you go. So Joey's asking about that she's been having a lot of crossroads in her life, and she wanted to know if her mom would survive an operation that's happening this month, I believe. She's talking about the 9th. And she's just having a lot of things going on. Also, question about relationships. She's like, there's just so much happening in my life. She's also talking about how a lot of people have passed since
Mm,
last year. So a lot of big things, a lot of
yes,
crossroads.
yes. Um, I'm feeling like that you're very strong and you're a lot stronger than what you think. And I feel like that strength, it just feels like you're really carrying the family. And I just feel like a lot of family members are also leaning on you as well as you're dealing with your mom and other things. Um, I'm also feeling like you want to be able to let go and to be able to share some of those emotions, but you're not able to really let it out, like feeling safe because it may seem like that maybe you're being a little weak. So I feel like that a good outlet will really help you to release so that you're not overwhelmed. Right now, I'm feeling like even like your breathing could be a little shallow because it's like you're constantly holding your breath. Like, what's the next thing? As if maybe you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. And so I feel like that you're really being encouraged to find an outlet so that you can like relax and let go so that you can release some of this tension that's really been built up because it feels like a pressure cooker and you're about to really like kind of explode like it's just going to come out one way or another. So that's what I'm really getting strongly for you right now. Kelly, what are you getting for her?
Yeah, I feel like that energy is all over the place. I feel like just massive exhaustion too. And so I feel like she's like kind of picking herself up. And I know when I'm tired all the time, I can definitely snap because, I just get angrier sooner because I'm just so exhausted. Right. So, like, I'm picking up similar things, Shelly, in the department of like she's not talking about how things are bothering her as much. I feel like she's used to coping with
Hmm.
things more to herself. And when she's asked for help in the past, it really hasn't been helpful. So she's doing a lot of self coping with regulating her emotions and everything. And what I was feeling when you were talking about things was like in the realm of, well, what outlet do we have for you? And so I was just, it's almost like I wanted her to walk outside and go to a bench and just sit and absorb the sunlight and be with trees. And then also I had this like desire, I don't know if she wants to, but this desire to like just swim, like go swimming, even if it's in like a pool or a couple of laps. Maybe it's an ode to some type of physical exercise, but I had this particular feeling to wanting to swim. I don't know if you swam when you were younger, but movement helps life keep going. And you're really at this threshold crossroads where a lot of things are like shoved up into this point in time where it's like, well, where do we go from here? And it's like that waiting game. And we need to get your energy moving because, you're asking questions of what's going to happen with not only my family, but what's going to happen with my relationship. And what is healing? Healing is bringing back movement into a stagnant body. And so there has to be healing onto yourself so you can bear the weight of what's going on with mom, and also to strengthen the weight that you're taking on with the burden of your relationship. And you can't stay still. You have to keep moving. And if someone can't understand that, then that's a point where you're going to have to meet because you got to keep moving. And you got to keep moving for your mom too. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, she has a lot of stuff going on. She has a lot of stuff going on. So we send you a prayer within that. And so, all right, this is the last question for today. And then we're going to start to close with Shelley. So someone's asking a question. I've been seeing 1111 or 111. What does that mean? So in your experience, what does that mean for you, Shelley?
Oh, whenever I see 1111, I always think of it as a wink from spirit, kind of like, it's like when they just have you to look at that time, it reminds me that I'm on the right path. that everything is fine, to keep going. And I just got a confirmation on that. And whenever I get the 111s, for me, it's always confirmation of a new beginning, that everything's going to be okay, to be patient because we're planting seeds, because I tend to want to go from 0 to 100. And it's like 111, slow down.
Here
But
we go.
yeah, but we got the newness happening.
Yeah, it's that new energy. When I see a lot of ones, I envision like just doorways. So the energy is open and it's ready to go. And a lot of times when I see ones, it's usually kind of spirit or my consciousness starting to get clearer. And whether or not, let's say, I see other numbers or I have a favorite number, that when I see that one, I kind of know like my energy's perking up and spirit's saying, okay, we got some things coming up. I need you to be alert. So we're going to start showing you some awareness vibrations with those ones. And you're going to go, okay, all right. And it's almost like a training. It's like training day for me when I start seeing a lot of ones. Okay. All right. Time to perk up. All right. Something new is coming. All right. That's how I feel. So it's just about a new energy wave is coming to you, and usually you get something for a reason. So what do you want to do with that burst, or what do you feel is coming your way? Because get ready.
Awesome.
Okay. Very cool. All right. So Shelley, thank you so much for reading with me today and helping people today with your insight. Where can people come find you if they want to work with you or get a reading?
MediumShelleySanders.com. That's where you can find me. And if you want to find me on social media, same thing as Medium Shelley Sanders.
Perfect. And I always like to ask before we go too, what is a piece of wisdom that you would like to impart on others? Just something you wish to share. It could be an inspiration, a poem. I've had people pull a card. What would you like to share?
I just want to say with intuition, like follow your gut instinct. We were born with our intuition. We were taught away from it as children. It's important that we go back to our intuition because it's never going to steer you wrong. People outside of you might give you misinformation. Your intuition will always lead you in the right direction.
And from that direction, we will say thank you again. It's been a blessing having you on today, Shelley. And I want to just extend to everybody, please, whether it's today, tomorrow, or upcoming in the future, go with luck, love, and light. Don't forget to live, everyone, as well. Take care.
Thanks, Kelly.
Absolutely.